Somehow, despite their low budget, the Italians always somehow just to make movies work for certain styles. Obviously with dramas you can have performances and locales and stuff like that, but for the giallos and pablums or something, you kind of need to work within a budget or have a setting. This was indeed seen in the movie Conquest from 1983. At the height of the sword and sorcery craze, that's called pablum, I think, in Italy, maestro of gore, Lucio Fulci attacked the genre like no other filmmaker had ever done before. Jorge Jorge Rivero, Rio Lobo, Andrea Aksapinti, New York Ripper, and the luscious Serena Sellers, White Cannibal Queen, stars in the surreal epic of brain-bashing barbarians and breast-bearing maidens, filled with eye-popping cinematography, jaw-dropping violence, and a pounding score by Claudio Simonetti of Goblin. For more than 20 years, Fulci fans have only experienced this bizarre shocker via shoddy VHS tapes. Conquest has now been fully restored from pristine vault elements and is proudly presented in totally uncensored gore spurting splendor. 1983, 93 minutes. It is 88 minutes, but whatever. This is a Blue Underground release, and this was a little interesting. I don't know. Obviously you can tell right here, he doesn't shoot anything from his eyes, and of course we got a nice lady right here, and you can tell this is in the vein of Quest for Fire, Conan the Barbarian, and I don't even maybe throw in the Beastmaster for crying out loud. That's this type of movie, and your mileage may vary on this one. I personally liked it, but the picture quality on this was just crud. It was done in, I don't know, let's just call it 400p, because it was fine. I could tell what was going on, but obviously it was a transfer from a VHS tape, and of course there's Blu-rays, but this is the only copy in the state. I'm like, okay, it's free. I'm not going to state that, but yeah, this movie is low budget. This is a low budget movie because it takes place in certain it's outside, and it's very few locales. Inside a cave, coming down it's like a river cave, outside plains, and like a cliffside, and that is fine. You don't expect like beautiful grand sets or anything like that. So but it was pretty to look at, and obviously the script, there's the blood too, including some pus and bumps when one of the heroes, Ilias, gets infected. Ugh, it was gross. Holy smokes! But yeah, obviously it's a bodybuilder and a kid who pretty much are in this movie. It's like you get a legend of, here's a guy the kid receives a bow that I thought would be unlimited, but he has only 4 arrows in the beginning. Okay. And then later, he can start, and I'm spoiling a movie, Conan's cousin acquires the bow, and can shoot them they materialize from nowhere. Okay. And, they both get captured, which I do like I don't want to say darkness, but I do like how there are some really weird denizens in this movie. It just somehow works. I don't know. I just think it's the costumes. The costumes in here are good. It's like, you just look at it, and you just think to yourself, okay, it's not that bad. It's actually nice. It's nice because it's just, even though it's low budget, this is surprisingly engaging, at least for the special effects. This is, like I said, a special effects movie. We get some kind of barbarians, and they do actually have to kick some butt, but they eventually do get outmatched, and I don't know. You know, they get punched, kicked, shot with arrows, and everything else. No swords in this movie, but yeah. The score by Claudio Simonelli. It's a high-pitched keyboard. It adds a certain layer of mystique, if you will. It sounds more sci-fi than fantasy, but at the same time, it adds more to the visual flair of this movie, of just the Conan influenced mystique, I guess. And I don't know, it works to it mostly works in this one. The music plays all throughout, so varying like tones and whatever, like could be a Casio keyboard, could be a freaking Hammond organ for crying out loud. I don't know. It's just Claudio by himself without the rest of the band performing, which is fine. It's like you don't have to be tied to Argento. You can perform your own score and work with other movies. Definitely some highlights are the long hair, obviously the sweeping vistas, but it's just certain things happen, and we get to see the actress Sabrina, what was her last name? Sellers, who appears nude, and at first she went, yeah, it's like she does look very attractive. It's like we get to see them for a little bit, which I always like, but it's the standard trope stuff of she doesn't take failure is not an option, tortures her underlings, and summons this weirdo looking person right here. He's barely in there. He's not as intimidating. I'm just like, no. Ultimately, they get towards the end, and a little fight ensues, and she's defeated in less than 2 minutes. So I'm like, huh? But you're here more for the adventure, so I don't know. This movie is very obviously low budget and obviously Conan inspired, but despite all that, despite some of the limitations, Fulci somehow works on this. He entered into a 2-movie contract with someone. I forgot who. It was some like Italian picture distributor. But it's like this movie was filmed, but he had a massive disagreement with the other person, so it resulted in him storming off. They took the case to court. Ultimately, Fulci was deemed the victor and didn't have to make a second movie. And Sellers was going to appear, went to audition, and at first she thought that her mother was going to be like saying, "Hey, you can't show any nudity." But however, I guess for the sake of the movie, the mother actually encouraged the nudity. But then again, she's wearing a mask the entire time, so say what you will about that. I don't know. That was just a very interesting fact. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But yeah, despite all that, if you want a fun adventure filled with good music, nice locales and stuff like that, then watch this 2 out of 4 movie for Conquest by Lucio Fulci.